Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Real Sports Updates here, back again with another video. So today's video, very simple. I'm gonna get into it a little bit, and I'm gonna get on Brandon Staley a little bit. I know I've won at Joe Lombardi, and the title of this video, what the subject matter is, it is a thing where it does fall on Joe Lombardi, but ultimately it does fall on Brandon Staley the most. He's the head coach. He's the leader of this team. And what I'm going to get into, it falls on him, right? So we're talking about the lack of running game that the Chargers have, right? This, to me, is the most frustrating thing that has been happening throughout the first 2 weeks of the season, right? Week 1 against the Raiders, the Chargers run for 75 yards. Week 2 against the Chiefs, Chargers run for 76 yards, right? Neither game was obviously impressive on the ground, right? And those numbers bear that out. But when you watch the tape, when you watch the all-22 tape, the Chargers, the personnel on the field is playing well. The offensive line is playing well. They're blocking well in the run game. Now, there are some times where I think the offensive line maybe gets off a little bit. They have some miscommunications about what their assignments are, and those have bore out on tape as well too. But by and large, the offensive line is playing well. They are playing really well, especially to start the season. For the new addition, Zion Johnson at right guard, they have been playing extremely well. I don't understand why the Chargers are not forcing the run game. I really don't. And again, some of this is the fault of Joe Lombardi, and we've already won on that. We've beat that dead horse as much as we can. Now this falls on Brandon Staley. This falls directly, square on the shoulders of Brandon Staley. All of the stuff we heard in the offseason, right? We've heard Brandon Staley, several press conferences in the offseason, several interviews with media personalities, sports media personalities. He has clearly come out and been very clear about how soft the Chargers were in 2021, right? How soft they were on both sides of the line of scrimmage, right? They had to make upgrades. Offensive line had to make upgrades. Defensive line, obviously, right? They went out, they did all that. Draft, free agency, they addressed their issues, right? How can you go out, address these issues of being soft, and then come into the season playing soft? They have not established the run game in either of these two games. It's been 8 quarters. 8 quarters of football, and you have not established the run game. And again, it's not the players on the field. This is coming from coaching. When you watch the tape, the run plays that have been called have been executed, right, for the most part. I would say 75 to 80% of the run plays have been executed well. Josh Kelly running hard, right, getting 7-8 yards to carry. Same thing with Austin Eckler, right? Sony Michel, they're coming in, they're getting yards. The Chargers are just not sticking with the run, though. And to me, that is a very egregious thing to do as a head coach, right? When you have a team this talented, you have to establish the run. All great offenses have always had a run game established, right? And I'm not even talking about run games that are gaining 3,000 yards or whatever, or getting close to 3,000 yards. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a run game that you establish where you can run the ball situationally, right? If there is a 2nd and 2 and you need 2 yards to get a first down, you can run the ball and get that first down, right? 3rd and 2, you can run the ball on 3rd down and get that first down. That's where the run game is established, where you can get first downs off of running the football. That is when you have a good running game. I don't care what the stats say. I don't care about any of that. When you can run the ball and when you trust your linemen up front to make their blocks, right? Get hat on a hat, move guys out of the way. That's where you have a run game that is established. And the Chargers don't have that, and they're not even trying to establish it, right? As soon as a run goes bad, they have 2 bad runs or whatever, they go completely abandon the run game. And they go right back to Justin Herbert playing hero ball. That is what the Chargers are doing. It's the same formula from last year, and the same formula will end up in the same result this year. The Chargers won't make the playoffs if this continues. You have to establish the run game. There's no reason to have 4 running backs on the active roster if you're not going to establish the run game. There's no reason to draft Isaiah Spiller out of Texas A&M in the 4th round if you're not going to establish a running game. The running game has to be established. Why did they sign Sony Michel? They're not establishing any running game. There's no running game being established. This makes it extremely difficult on an offense. It makes it extremely extremely difficult on Justin Herbert. He is as talented as they come, but it makes his job much, much more difficult. Now, you can't see it from the results. You can't see it from the stats. You can't see it from the way that he plays just because he's so damn talented. And his talent can erase the lack of run game, the lack of production in the run game, the lack of a threat of a running game. His talent can erase that, but it is only going to continue to get harder and harder and harder as the season goes on. There's 15 more games, guys. 15 more games. You have to be able to establish a running game. You cannot have Justin Herbert dropping back 48 times, just like he did against the Chiefs. 33 of 48. He dropped back 48 times. And what happened? He ended up getting injured, right? Now, as we go further in the week, it doesn't look like it is going to be an injury that's going to keep him out for too much longer, if any time at all. But, the Chargers dodged a bullet there. You dropping this man back 48 times. If you run the ball 10 more times, you take away 10 more dropbacks from Justin Herbert. And what does that do when you take away 10 more dropbacks? That takes away 10 more hits on him, right? And it takes away 10 more times that he can potentially be injured, just like he was in week 2, right? On the fourth quarter, laying on his back in Arrowhead Stadium, looking up at the sky because his ribs are on fire. It's easy. It's so easy. It's so simple. And this is where Brandon Staley is losing me a little bit. Like, I liked everything about him last year. I liked all the aggressiveness, all that stuff. Give him a pass because the defense wasn't where it should have been. And those things got fixed this season. This is where Brandon Staley is losing me. And this is where he kind of comes off as the smartest guy in the room to me. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel, right? Stop trying to ask Justin Herbert to play hero ball every single Sunday. You go out, you run the ball. Your running back room is loaded with a bunch of talent, a bunch of guys who can carry the ball, a bunch of guys who can catch the ball out of the backfield, a bunch of guys that are established in the league as ball carriers, right? The only guy who's not really established is Isaiah Spiller and I guess Josh Kelly to some degree, but Josh Kelly has been pretty good so far. So you have all these guys in the running back room. Run the ball. What's the issue with running the ball? I don't understand. There's no reason to drop Justin Herbert back almost 50 times in a game that you lose by 3 points. There's no what? Why? I can see if the Chargers went down 20-0, right? A la the Raiders and the Cardinals. I can see, okay, then you drop the quarterback back a bunch. You're throwing the ball all over the field. You're trying to make up points. That's not what happened. The Chargers dominated in the first half, and then they came out and they pretty much crapped the bed in the second half. But there's no reason to drop Justin Herbert back 50 times. No reason. Absolutely no reason. You need to establish a running game. You have to be able to bleed the clock, and you have to be able to establish your offensive identity and also establish your physicality up front. That's the only way you are going to beat a team like Buffalo. That's the only way you're going to beat a team, who is up there in the standings in the AFC at the end of the year. That's really the only way you're going to beat one of the best teams in the league, right? That's the only way. That is the only way. You have to establish your physicality. You cannot have Justin Herbert playing hero ball all throughout the season. It just doesn't work. And it is not going to lead to the playoffs. It's not going to lead to the playoffs. You have to have it. You have to. It is non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable and it's not optional. That's why I'm saying Brandon Staley is coming. He's losing me. He's losing me now. He's losing me. He hasn't lost me all the way, but he is losing me. If the Chargers don't come out and establish the run game against the Jaguars on Sunday, that's going to be a huge problem. Win or loss. Win or loss. Win or loss. Because if Herbert plays and, his heroics lead the Chargers to a victory, okay. But if they don't establish the run game, it's going to be a huge, huge problem. Huge problem. Huge problem. You cannot have a successful 17-game season and not establish your running game. You cannot. You absolutely cannot. You cannot. And you will not have any success doing that. So this is what the Chargers have to do, man. And I'm not impressed with the running game at all. I am not impressed with the coaching through 2 weeks. The defense is playing, really good, but there's a lot of talent on the defense, so it doesn't surprise me. It's not like any other, defensive coach, coordinator couldn't get the same result with this amount of talent on the field on defense. So I'm not impressed by that either, by Staley's coaching. So this is going to come down to getting the run game going. If the Chargers don't get the run game going, it's going to be a long season, guys. It's going to be a long season. And, you can't carry that on the road. You can't carry those heroics and all that stuff. You cannot depend on that on the road. You need a running game. You have to have a running game. And, again, Staley, if you are the smartest guy in the room, show us and run the damn ball. That's what's need to be done. It needs to be done. and this had to be said. This is a issue here. This is an issue. It's been 8 quarters of football. 8 quarters of football, 120 minutes of football. No running game established. That's a long time. That is a long time to not establish a run game. So please establish the running game. Whether or not Justin Herbert plays or not, establish the running game. That's what the Chargers need to do. That's really what they need to do. That's all it comes down to. And again, Staley's going to lose me. He's going to lose me if he doesn't come out and establish a run. So that's a video I felt like had to be made. Had to talk about that with the abysmal running numbers that the Chargers have. Over the first 2 games of the season, it's been very, very disappointing to watch. But it is what it is, right? So that's all I had to say for that one, guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. I have more content coming out very soon. Shout out to all my new subscribers as well. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out as well, too. Thank you. I'll have more content coming out very soon. Probably, do a live stream maybe sometime this weekend, maybe tomorrow, maybe Saturday, to do my little preview on the game. And then, we'll probably have more clarification on Justin Herbert, whether he plays or not. At this point right now, it looks like he's going to play. So, yeah, we'll have more news there as well, too. But thank you guys for all your support. And until next time.